Twitter is imploding, and as a professional social media manager, someone who has done it in the past for a big brand, someone who's doing it now for a gaming company, and someone who just has a lot of experience with it, I just thought we would talk about the implosion of one of the world's biggest social media platforms, Twitter. I obviously don't have to tell you guys, since Elon bought it, it has become a nightmarish hellscape, but we all keep using it, at least for now. Now, a lot of things are going to change this week, so this video is probably going to age itself immediately, but let's just go over what has happened so far. So last year, Elon Musk attempted to buy Twitter for $44 billion and then quickly decided not to buy it. Unfortunately for him, the board decided that, no, you said you were going to do it. You pinky promised us, so you're going to do it. And he said, okay, fine. Well, now that I'm here, I'm going to try to purge bots and do all these things to make it a better place. I'm going to get rid of the verification system, which he deemed was kind of a royals versus peasants system. And sure, the verified system may have its flaws, but it is a hellscape now. You have professional athletes who are unverified, while guys with 8 followers who have read Mein Kampf 3 times for the Easter eggs now are verified. And it's absolutely wild. These people are always promoted in my feed, and I hate it so much. It's these hypermasculine dudes who have the worst possible takes on everything, and they are now the people who kind of run shit on Twitter. I'm making this video because what we've kind of known all along, if you've been paying attention, is that Elon has no plans on keeping the old Twitter whole. What he wants to do is create this new thing called X, the everything app, something that he has teased for a while now. Back in 2000, Elon actually tried to change the name of PayPal to X, and he had like X.com, and he had all these trademarks, and he wanted to make it a real thing, but the board did not allow him. Fortunately for Elon, he now controls everything on Twitter. So I am 99% sure that before all this, before he decided to buy Twitter, he had an idea to make an app or a social media network called X, and what he calls the everything app, something that is apparently AI controlled. I'm not sure in what way. Starting a social media network is really, really difficult. Just look at Google+. They're one of the biggest companies in the world, and they could not sustain their own social media network for more than a couple months. It was an invite only, and it ended up being a huge disaster. So Elon probably sees examples like that and is like, I don't really want to start my own social media platform. I'd rather just take an existing user base. So I'm gonna buy Twitter, I'm gonna gut it, and I'm gonna turn it into X. It'll have its own X logo and its own X features. And that way people can't complain that this isn't Twitter anymore. And honestly, it's really sad. I use Twitter all the time. I use it on the desktop, on my phone. I use it for work. I use it to interact with friends, and it is really sad to see what has happened to it. And so now I don't know what the hell X is going to be. Apparently, instead of tweeting, it's gonna be Xing or something, which I think will be really confusing when people are trying to compose a tweet, and instead of saying tweet, it'll just say X. People will probably think they're closing out when they're really actually posting it. I think that's going to be very confusing. I think actually, if you're Meta, you're psyched about this because name recognition is so important in this industry, and people have had Twitters forever, but they haven't had X's, at least not in the social media sense. That actually brings me to talking about Threads. So obviously we know that Mark Zuckerberg has been working on this since at least January, or at least his team has, and I think he could predict that Elon was going to destroy Twitter. There were early signs and red flags, and he's like, bet, let's do what we do here at Meta all the time. Let's steal that idea of just a text-based social media app and make our own version called Threads. As I'm sure most of you know, Threads launched to huge acclaim and a ton of signups, like over 100 million signups, and that's mostly because it was directly linked to your Instagram account. So anyone with an Instagram could easily get a Threads account. All you had to do was download a separate app, but all of your followers would pretty much transfer over. That worked pretty seamlessly. I ended up following some exes and people I had forgotten about that I had met in my life, so I'd kind of have been secretly unfollowing them the last few weeks. Anyway, the positives for Threads is that it has a very clean UI and it is easy to integrate with your Instagram account. However, it is missing a ton of necessary features. And my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory is that Threads was not ready to be launched. But then a few weeks ago, when Twitter had its rate limit fiasco and everyone was just ready to jump ship. I mean, it was the cherry on top. People were done with Twitter. They had put up with all of the kind of unnecessary and terrible changes, but the fact that you could only read 600 tweets a day if you were unverified, that was the last straw. So what I think happened was Zuckerberg seized on that opportunity and was like, I know Threads isn't ready, but let's launch it anyway because people are never going to be more mad at Twitter than they are right now. So he launched Threads, which is an incomplete app. It's a lot like releasing a game that's not done yet. Some of the biggest features that are missing from Threads is a desktop version, a following only tab, the ability to search topics. Right now, you can only search other users, a better algorithm for what you see on your feed. Right now, I'm getting like a bunch of stuff from like Paris Hilton and just kind of random celebrities and brands and influencers. I'm getting like 20 Wendy's thread posts a day, and I don't follow any of these accounts, so it doesn't really encourage you to stay on the app that long. The excitement of the first week of Threads was basically like, oh my God, guys, here's this safe haven we can go to now that Twitter is burning down to the ground. Here, verified accounts are still actually verified people. They're not just douchebags with $8, and it just seemed more fresh and relaxing. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized it's because Meta has its own kind of algorithm where they don't really want to focus too much on news. They obviously got in a lot of trouble in the last 2 elections with misinformation. And obviously news creates a lot of controversy and aggression and confrontation between users. So I think they want to kind of make it a text-based Instagram where it's more about like your dog pictures and your life updates and your baby updates and just things like that, where it's super, super simple, like day one of social media kind of simple, like here's what I'm having for lunch today. And it's not a bad strategy. I mean, Twitter has gotten very, very divisive, as has Facebook. So although Threads still is clinging on to some momentum, the daily average users has dramatically declined. And it's because a lot of the new features still haven't been rolled out yet. Even though their developer team said they're coming soon, it's not soon enough. Honestly, Threads is dropping the ball in a major Google Plus kind of way. If they don't roll out these new features, I mean, give us a desktop website, give us a following tab, make it so I can search different topics, give us some trending topics. I mean, I know that this sounds like I'm just asking it to be Twitter. I mean, I think the biggest thing that Threads needs is that one feature that Twitter doesn't have, the one feature that separates itself from the rest. I mean, with Instagram, it's mostly pictures. With Facebook, it's mostly life updates. With Twitter, it's a global sort of town square. What is it that Threads can actually have? Is it just a sort of positive environment? Because that also invites news being censored and people being censored. Some people confuse muting hate speech for censorship when really it's like you need to have some guardrails. All these companies have their own boards and CEOs and own set of rules so they can do whatever they want. But Threads really needs to separate itself. You can't just copy paste. You have to find a distinguishing feature of this app. I don't know what that is, but you need to find it quick and you need to roll out these features. Otherwise, Twitter or X will stay the dominant social media platform. I mean, we are at a massive inflection point and I am ready to give Threads my full attention, but it just doesn't want me to yet. And until it can roll out these features, which, I mean, they have billions of dollars, how hard can it be? Then I don't know how long it can last. I can see it kind of fading away, and then we're back in the loop of trying to find some random weird third-party app to use. I guess my point is social media is changing a lot. It doesn't seem like it's for the best. Also, one more point I want to make to all the people and like sycophants who worship Elon Musk. He did not invent Tesla or SpaceX. Those were companies that already existed. He bought out the founders and then took credit for it. Most people think this guy is like real life Tony Stark. Oh my God, he's responsible for electric cars. He's responsible for space travel. No, he's the guy who came in at the last second, took over the company and took all the credit for it. It drives me crazy when people think that he invented these things. They're like, this guy is a genius. And you know, maybe technically he is a genius, but you'd think geniuses would maybe have more wherewithal to know that buying a failing product is only going to make it worse. The point is, none of this had to happen, but it is. And now we are all questioning what our lives on social media looks like. I mean, if Twitter fails, maybe that's okay. You know, maybe we just spend more time doing other things. But for us social media managers out there, it is kind of a scary time. And it just seems like we're gradually descending into that movie Idiocracy, where the stupider you are, the more powerful you become. And I just hope soon our water supply isn't made of Kool-Aid. Anyway, I am going to be keeping track of this as we go along. I don't know if you guys are interested in these kind of vlog videos, but just wanted to get my thoughts out on this so I wasn't just, yelling it at my dog. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon.